start by running the tree command. This will give the structure of my application. It's a human resource application, and we'll see that I have my employees text, which holds all the information. The setup scripts is basically where I bring in my styling, user input, validation of variables, add employees, which would be the most important page to add the data to the actual file. I'll just explain what this top bit is here first. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating a variable called directory. I'm using the cd change directory, and I'm working out the direct name, so I have to get the path, right, because obviously the bash gives the variables to get this information, and I'm using the and, so once this completes, then add the print work directory. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm getting the full path directory of where the file was called from, which is the dir, which then allows me to give a relative path. So what I'm doing is from here, go up one, then go into subscripts, the variables, and I can go into these tree files and pull, obviously use whatever's inside them, which is the color variables, the user input functions where I validate all the user entered data, and then the styling is just these page titles where I pull in a stylized title, similar to the main menu. For example, if I go to add employee, you'll see here add employee details. This is a style menu similar to all of these. So just to make things a little bit simpler, I'm going to go through my setup scripts. So you'll see here, if I do the variables, so the variables are basically the color variables, where I give green BG and I give the actual color variable code as in the foreground color and the background color. So if I go to my validation, if I was validating the name, I actually asked for a full name with a space in between. So I need lowercase, uppercase, and then I also need a space, and then I also need letters lowercase or uppercase. But then I actually add in an optional. So if there is words, space, words, it's accepted. But if there's words, space, words, and then there's a space and words, it's also accepted. Then the email. So essentially, the email is built up where I can take numbers, letters, symbols, and then what I'm doing is I'm looking for the @ sign, okay, and then it has to be something at, and then it has to be some sort of value in it as well, and then I'm looking for a dot, and then I have to have another value after that. So in other words, it'd have to be Robert at test.com. Add employee. So we'll see here what I'm doing is I'm setting I is 0, so I want the while loop to run at least once. Read in the value and I give it to my function. So what I'm going to do is I'll explain a function in detail, because it's the same process for all the functions. And what I'll do is, just to save on time, I'll probably give a function that is more involved. So this one here. So if I do employee heading, so basically what I'm doing is I'm doing awk. I'm basically using the separator of the semicolon, and I'm basically printing all of the text lowercase from the employee's text, and I'm basically taking the S2, which is basically the second column, into temp results. The second column essentially is the positions of everybody who's on file. Then I'm doing an awk, so I'm doing a printf, right, and I'm setting out 2 positions with a new line, and it's 2 upper. So basically I'm doing a substring, so I'm taking the first value, right, and I'm doing 0 to 1, so I'm taking the first letter and I'm making it uppercase. I'm saving that in temp results, and I'm doing a sort u. So basically I'm sorting all of the names that are unique, and then I'm removing the temp file, because I've got my list. So I'll just explain to you roughly what this is. So if I do here, so this is what it does. It basically gives me a list of all my positions. Then what I do is I read my position, so I'm getting the position, I'm giving it words, because it's obviously multiple words. I'm doing my check multiple words, and I'm giving the actual variable into this. So if I take this, so here we go. So this is the function where I take in the value, and what I do is I set my words check to 0, which is basically for the while loop to run initially first. A start value is 1, because obviously I want to start by the first argument variable that's passed into it, and the stop value is I'm using this. So this basically gives me the amount of arguments that are handed into the actual function. So if there was 2 words handed in, then it'd be 2. So I'm essentially assigning the argument variables into words. So my while loop is going to start as I give it the check 0. So if words reg position. So basically I'm assigning words. So it's echo words, and then I'm transforming it from uppercase to lowercase, and I'm putting that in the words variable, and I'm handing it back. Obviously I have an else here, so if there was a mistake made, it's warning you entered in. I'm giving the user what they've actually typed in so they can verify if they've done it right or not, and then instruction. And then what I'm doing is I'm asking for the words value again to obviously check it until it's right, and it comes back to the employees. So essentially I do the exact same thing for everything else. And then what I do is, if we look down here for the output, we'll see here it gives me the output. So essentially this is pulled in from the styling, and I take the variables that are back from my functions and I put them in here. So this is ready to save. Do you want to save this employee, yes or no? So you might notice the wage actually has a euro and it has a comma. The wage, you'll see here, wages. So basically I'm echoing the salary. I'm giving the hard code of the euro sign with the salary, but I'm doing a sed. So I'm creating as a title, and I'm basically doing the spaces in between the words. So essentially I'm taking the number value without any spaces, and what I'm doing is when I get the full, let's say 1,000, I'm doing a search for 0 to 9 for 3 characters, or three numbers at the end. So I'm starting at the end, and what I'm doing is I'm adding a comma, and then I'm basically going back to the label A again. So I'm starting at the right, and I'm basically taking 3 letters, how I put my comma into the value. So if I do my save, which I'll save, do I want to add another employee, yes or no? Then what I do is I echo all my variables, I save it into the employee's text. So if I go into my remove record, so basically what I do here is awk f. So I use the separator of semicolon, I print f. So I'm taking 1 2 3 4 5 values with a new line. So essentially as this runs through, the first name in employee's text it'll be one name, position, email, and whatever it is. And then what I'm doing, so that prints up my temp results. So basically what I'm doing here is num results equals, so I'm basically using the grep, I for case insensitive, W is word. I'm using my words in the temp results text file, and I'm piping it to a word count L. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm getting the amount of records that are matched. So I'm basically getting a number. You have 3 results or 4 results, whatever it is. Also I just want to go back to this if grep. So if case insensitive, full word, quiet words is in the employee's text, then it's executed. So I'm doing a quick check to make sure the words are actually in the file first before I execute this code. So basically I'm doing is I'm passing the function which I've described earlier on, or similar function, but this I'm passing the variable which is basically results. So all that does is it adds the number into the actual title. So if I went in here and I went to remove employee, which is number 3, and I type in Robert, I've got multiple matches here, and here's the numbers that I'm pulling out. I see I've got three matches. So the 3 matches is this num results where I get the count, and obviously have, type in the ID to confirm. So basically if I go 1, so I want to delete 1, action can't be done, are you sure, do you want to delete 1, yes or no? So if I go yes, it deletes this from the actual record. I'll go 1, sorry, my mistake, it was yes to make sure it was. I want to do yes. I'm going to do another search again for the same thing, and you see that that value I had last time is gone. Here, just going back to this table, so sort K, so sort column 1 from the temp results file, and I'm basically grabbing to find the case insensitive word, and I'm giving the words in it, and then I'm piping it to actually give the results of that into the awk using the delimiter, because it was changed from the colon to semicolon. Then I'm printing out Basically what I'm doing is I'm printing out the columns as in one character for 119. So I've this all built up, and as you can see here, it builds up the string to give me the styling, deleting the ID from the actual employee's text. So I'm getting the line number, and I'm deleting that from the employee's text. REST application. So if I want to do a search for view all employees, so here's all my employees. Into my search for wage, I put in Dean. I've got Dean Black, so go yes again. Go to DOH Doherty. I have it here. I can do a search for it again. I can go DOH Doherty. That gives me back the same result. So I'll go no. If I go 5 contact details, if I type in Robert, I get all my details here. And if I just cancel out, if I go 6 employee positions, so here's all my positions, and I have to pick a position in it. So if I go server, that's all case insensitive as well. So see, I got server there. If I do server admin, so essentially I'm doing the searches by the position and not the name. So go no, and that gives me by 7, which is quit application.